All right, boys, how we feeling tonight?
Feeling good.
Feeling, yeah, real good. I just had dinner at the place I watched the Buckeyes win the national championship at, so
Oh, you a little
was able to
reminiscing, did you?
Nice.
a little reminiscent on the good old days.
There you go.
I would watch the last time Oklahoma won a national championship, but it wasn't shot in HD, and it just makes me depressed. No. True story. I have it on DVD. It's not in HD. Welcome to episode 1, Waterboys College Football Show. Boys, go around and introduce yourselves.
All right, what's up? I'm Strez, the resident Buckeye fan, holding it down for the Big Ten. Former college football player myself, so I bring that unique perspective, I guess, if you want to say that. I've forgotten pretty much everything, though, because of the brain injuries, but we won't talk too much about that. But yeah, excited to be doing this show. This is going to be awesome.
Absolutely. What's up, guys? I'm Steve Jewell with the band Blackstone Cherry on the bass guitar. But when I'm not rocking out, playing some music with those guys, I and everyone else in the band, for the most part, too, we all enjoy sports and never played, obviously, professionally or even in college, just as a kid growing up. And one of my favorite pastimes. I love it all. Of course, I'm a big Cubs fan right here in the Bluegrass State. So first team I grew up loving was the Kentucky Wildcats basketball team. And excited to be on here with you guys. We're going to have some fun.
And Kentucky plays football now.
Sometimes, yes. No, we've had, some decent success over the years. In recent years, of course, Lamar Jackson coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. So, yeah, we have our moments. Randall Cobb, who played, at Green Bay, he played for the Wildcats. So, yeah, we have our moments.
All right. Well, this is our college football show. If it's the first time you're ever tuning in, this isn't going to be like your normal college football show. We're not going to sit in here and break down like recruiting data for 16-year-old kids coming out of Allen High School in Texas. Like, that's not. So if you want to do that, Fox Sports and ESPN have got that covered for you. And if you hate Paul Feinbaum, good. I don't like him either, and probably nobody else on this podcast does.
His ears look funny.
He's really advocating, I noticed today, for the SEC and Big Ten controlling the future of the playoffs and stuff. And yeah, makes you wonder. Is he a part of some of those dinners, Christmas parties, bar mitzvahs, all that good stuff? Who knows?
I didn't know that was trending news today. Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, who's had 2 great takes lately, one of which is if you flood the field or the court and storm the court or the field after a win, you should have to forfeit the win because that's fun. Yeah, let's punish 20-year-old kids. And then his other take today was he's advocating for a straight 1 through 12 for the college football playoff, no matter what conference they're in or conference championship games. So anybody any thoughts on that?
Go for it, Stress.
I think the seeding, they got the right 12 teams this last year, in my opinion. I think the seeding was the problem because Oregon had to face the buzzsaw of the Ohio State Buckeyes in the second round after getting the first overall seed. I think the seeding is the issue, but I think they learned a lot from what this one looked like. I don't know if they can make any changes this year going into the second year, but I think the seeding is the issue. So, and I think going straight 1 through 12 would be incredibly boring.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It looks like there could be a 14 bracket, and it's going to be a 16. And once you kind of open that door, and it's interesting because what's that going to look like? You see a lot of people advocating right now or bringing up questions for concern, like who's kind of driving the bus on this? Is there a bus driver? Is there a college football czar, if you will? I've heard it framed that way. That's kind of thinking, obviously about the future of college football, because as of right now, the 2 biggest conferences being the Big Ten and the SEC, and they're the ones pretty much seems like making the the future framework for the playoffs at least until 2031. I think there's a 6-year contract in place with ESPN. They're getting like $1.3 billion annually. And, so they're also kind of proposing, it looks like they met today, the ADs for the Big Ten and the SEC in New Orleans. And I'm seeing information about wanting this like 4-4-2-2-1 type system. Um, I don't know how that's going to pass because obviously the other conferences may have something to say about the SEC getting 4 AQs and the Big Ten getting 4 AQs, automatic qualifiers. And who should get those? What's the regular season going to look like? Are you're going to see teams just kind of, is it going to change the regular season? Or are we just worried about getting that 4th seed spot? As long as we at least go 7-2 in conference games, and who cares if we go 0-3 in non-conference games? Does the conference championship games even matter as much anymore? So there's a lot of uncertainty, and I guess we'll see this coming season kind of what it's going to look like.
Lane Kiffin is the one that's ghostwriting for everything, I think.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's very Lane Kiffin.
It makes sense.
But his tweets were ridiculous during the entire playoff and the entire postseason.
He lost games he should have won. It's not like he was he's like, I only lost to Georgia and Alabama. It's like, no, that's not you lost to some teams were well below par from you. And college football needs to look at college basketball, because this is what happened. Nobody pays attention to college basketball till the last week of February.
Yeah.
I don't even start watching until March.
And they're probably, next year going to go to 76 teams, it's looking like. So.
Jesus.
Just take every conference, couple of high school teams from Florida. Just.
I mean, what do you think? What do you guys think it should look like? Like, should, the conference, whoever wins the conference championship, should they automatically get a bid in the playoffs, but maybe not one of the top 4 seeds? Should maybe something like, if we take the top 4 teams of the SEC, should the SEC championship game be moved to the playoffs where the 1 and 4th seeds play, the 2 and the 3rd seeds play? Whoever wins that game goes on to the semifinals, essentially being like the SEC conference championship game. Like, how can, we still make those games important, I guess, as the playoffs essentially start to evolve? And who gets those top 4 seeds? Because obviously, you get the bye week too. So, I don't know if it made sense for someone like maybe Boise State to get that. You can make a case for like Oregon, maybe getting one of those top 4 top 4 seeds in a bye week, based on last year's schedule. But it's going to be interesting for sure.
I'm for whatever Division II and Division III has been doing for the last 75 years. I mean, I get the Division I wants to act like they're reinventing the wheel in a playoff. I mean, I heard this 5 years ago, a playoff will never work. And I'm like, Division II and Division III have been doing this for 50 years.
Dude, Mike Leach talked about it. One of the best clips ever was him talking about what a playoff could look like. He's like, well, they do it in high school, and then you go up to the next level, and they do it in NAIA, they do it in D3, they do it in D2. Well, what about the league above Division I? Well, the NFL, they have a playoff too. I'm like, why don't we have a playoff? And then we got one, and it was only 4 teams, and it was the same 4 teams, it felt like, every single year, which obviously not complaining at all, but at some point it's like, all right, well, I thought we made the playoff for teams like 2007 Boise State, or was it 2007? I don't know. Aaron, you probably know the answer. Yeah,
Oklahoma.
Yeah, with the running back, I forget what his name was, Ian something.
Yeah, the hook and ladder.
Yeah, that, like, for teams like that are like never represented in the national championship game, but go undefeated, right? UCF, 7 years ago, it just feels like that's what it should be for.
And they claim 2 national championships,
which is fine. Yeah, claim whatever you want. Michigan claimed like 17 before. We had color TVs, so it's what it is. You can claim however many you want. It just feels like you just need to play games. I don't care if everyone and their mom knows that Georgia is going to curb stomp UCF in a round 1 game. Like, no, I don't care. Make them play the game because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's just
and the only problem Division One's got is the bowl games and the bowl game committees and the whole Orange Bowl committee and the Cotton Bowl committee and all that. They want in on it no matter what. So if you're a number 1 seed, we if you're a top 4 seed, we've either got to give you a bye or we go to the NFL model, which is I get home field advantage, and you're playing these playoff games and at school sites. If not, expand the thing to 16, give your top 4 seeds a bye, and the bowl game, they just you make the bowl games happy. But for Georgia getting to play, I mean, people are like, well, then what about home field advantage? Georgia has played in the SEC championship like 4 years in a row in Atlanta.
Yeah, and a couple national championship games in Atlanta.
So listen, Oklahoma goes and plays Texas every year in Dallas, and everyone's like, well, it's in between Austin and Norman. It's like, yeah, if you really think that's like they've never gone to the game, like it's home field advantage for Texas every year. So I don't really care, but next year is just going to be very interesting. Speaking of things that are going to be interesting, college football programs hinting at heading to an NFL style OTA model and canceling spring games. I guess Matt Rule from Nebraska is the one that started this. His thing was, I think initially I thought he was saying the spring games don't make sense. It's stupid. We should just go to OTA model. I think what he's saying is spring games are turning into like a talent show for every other school in the country to get your kids to jump in the portal. I don't care about spring games. Full disclosure. I've worked them. I've been to them. They're worthless. Your starters play 4 snaps, but for some players, especially your walk-ons, that may be the only time they get to step onto the football field at the school they're playing for their entire career. They just look at the spring game and go, at least I'm going to get to play the spring game, invite my parents and my family. I'm going to get pictures, and it's cool. I don't know. I don't mind the OTA model. College football is becoming the NFL anyway, but it just seems weird.
I don't know. I like spring football. I like spring game. And it's probably just because of how long I played the game for. But there's something about being able to, because football season is so short already, right? Like these kids are playing 12 games tops for the most part, maybe 14 if they're good enough. It's such a short time period, and it's nice to be able to do it again, like do the routine, get ready for practice every day, put your pads on, go hit, and then have something to be prepping for on a Saturday or whenever the spring game happens, at the end of that 3-week period or 4-week period or however long it lasts. But I think there's a different way that they could solve that issue of teams just poaching players, and it's shut the portal. Like before spring ball starts, close the portal. What are we talking about here? Like
novel idea.
Stay you wherever you're at on March 1st is where you're staying, unless you're transferring for legitimate reasons, like you used to have to transfer for.
A trade window?
No.
But about technically, I mean, the NFL model is here's how far you can trade or sign, and then we cut it off.
A portal time frame, it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe from like, I don't know, National Signing Day is what, February 3rd, 5th every year?
There's another problem. You have early signing day, you have late signing day. Cancel the early signing day, make one signing day again, and your portal is 2 months after signing day.
Yeah, just do that window and close it, and then have your spring games with whoever is there on campus. There you go.
Yeah. And football's not like that. I played basketball. We got to scrimmage each other every Friday. Football don't get to do that anymore. Like you guys just go, like kind of play, kind of practice, but there's not
shells, shorts and shoulder pads. You're not taking to the ground. You're still hitting a little bit to work out the soreness. But
that spring game probably is like but just get to the spring game. And then I know season's not that far off. It's kind of like a little like reward of like you get to get out there and hit each other and have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think I really, care either way. Both you guys make great points. Essentially, as long as we're getting more football, that's cool, whether it's spring games or if it's more of an NFL style approach. But I've kind of thought the same, something similar to like Stress said, just maybe closing the portal at a certain time. It's not only affecting that, it's even been affecting bowl games too. So, yeah, we're very much in the Wild West right now. For
Yeah.
sure.
The bowl game thing, like open it later, and then close it
Yeah.
earlier. Just do this.
The bowl game thing is wild to me.
That one is wild.
I mean, there
Yeah.
were teams that made the playoff.
Yeah.
But guys
Yeah.
were like, I don't know if I'm like
2 seasons ago, one that just still stands out. What wasn't it Georgia that played? Was it Florida State and won by like 50 something? It was 60 to something. I don't even know if Florida State scored. I can't remember. It was 2 years ago. But yeah, even Kirby at the end of the game was just kind of like didn't even really take much credit. It's like, look, this is kind of what it's like now.
Yeah, wasn't that when Florida State went undefeated and their quarterback like got hurt and then their backup quarterback got hurt and everybody's like, all right, let's just call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the year
I remember
before. They were making a big case for if we'd had an expanded, then they would have had and all this stuff, and then they went out and got smoked. But they didn't have like half their roster, half their offense had just decided like we're going somewhere else next year, so I'm not going to play. But it all just comes out of, speaking of money, I got my email from the University of Oklahoma today. They want some more money for NIL and revenue split.
They're going to need it in the SEC.
I don't get it, man. It's like ticket prices go up, enrollments are high, priced higher than ever, and the universities are sending emails out acting like they're begging for scraps from
UK. Yeah, a lot of places are the same way. I remember a guy last year at the end of the Governor's Cup when the Wildcats unfortunately lost. First time they've lost to Louisville in like over 10 seasons, I think. But some guy at the end of the game was, I think, getting interviewed talking about what he still gets season tickets next year. And he was like, yeah, of course, I've been seeing them my whole life, even when they only won maybe like just 2 or 3 games. And when they do win those certain games, it just kind of makes it even more special. And, and I get it, but yeah, it's like, and we were texting about this a couple of days ago, and it made me think of this. What about Mark Stoops now being the longest tenured head coach in the SEC? Wow.
So
He'll be there another 13 years probably.
That is crazy. There has been a bit of turnover lately. Just a wild thing to see him in the SEC.
Not a Kentucky brother. Not a Kentucky brother. He's on his 13th season. He'll probably be there, like I said, 13 more.
Yeah.
What happened is Kentucky looked at Kansas when they let Mangino go because they thought, hey, we could get better than Mark Mangino. And then they watched that just train wreck for the next 20 years. And they were like, Mark's not too bad. Why don't we just hold on to Mark for a while?
Right. And I'm sure he's a great guy personally, but sometimes, I guess you got to shake it up a little bit. Maybe we'll do good this year and getting some new talent in, see what the new team looks like. So, in the meantime, go Mark Pope, go Wildcats, go Kentucky basketball. We beat Vandy tonight, so it's all good.
Oh, there you go. Beat the rich kids in Nashville. All right. A couple other things here. Either of you guys play college football? EA Sports college football?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't have a next gen console.
I don't either, which is sad because I'd probably be, my wife would probably be okay with it because it would consume all of my life if I had college football.
It's actually a really good point.
College football 26, going to be releasing soon. Last year's game, 2.8 million players, 2.2 million purchases of the deluxe edition, making it the all-time best-selling sports game based on dollar sales of all time.
I mean, they haven't had one since 2014, so kind of makes sense.
Over and under on another lawsuit coming soon with those type of numbers coming out.
I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the basis for the NIL argument, wasn't
Yep.
it? It was these video games, right? Because I was definitely playing with
Yeah.
Braxton Miller. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I'm playing a college football game, like I'm gonna have Braxton Miller at quarterback because I'm playing with Ohio State. This
Well,
cheat
what's
code.
crazy is the lawsuit came from the college basketball games, and they quit making those in like 2008, which I loved. March Madness. There was a March Madness video game that was awesome on like PS1 and PS2 that was fantastic, but that's where the lawsuit came out of. And as a guy that worked in college sports before NIL, I always felt weird. We're selling number 6 jerseys with no name on the back.
Yeah, we all know who it is. You walk into the
You're
And then you
working through 300 of them on a game day, and you're like, no, it's not Baker Mayfield. We're just the number 6.
and then you see what the MLB show's doing with their new game coming out here in a couple weeks. They've got college baseball configured in the game on the road to the show. I think on the road to the show, you start out like I read, or I think it was today or yesterday. You start out like your senior year in high school, I think, and then you can have an option to where maybe you can take a minor league deal or you can go play college baseball. So, it kind of makes me wonder too, will we see kind of mergers like that or still standalone games, with college football? Or could we get a standalone college baseball game in the future? Maybe college basketball, who knows?
I mean, it's all NIL, it's all money. And am I wrong? Did Madden at one point have a college football mode where all the guys were playing for their alma maters? Am I crazy?
I honestly can't remember. I started playing Madden again like last year. I've been out of
I,
the loop for a minute.
yeah, I was never a Madden guy. I only ever played college football, so I stopped
Yeah.
playing in 2014 and never picked it back up because I still have a PlayStation 3
You didn't have no choice.
or no PS4. I don't even know what I have anymore, but I just didn't have a choice.
Yeah, they didn't put any new games out.
If they didn't
your
have
hands
that
were
mode,
tied.
that sounds awesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be crazy, but I think at one point there was a mode so you could go play Miami. That was what everybody would do. Everybody go play Miami because they at one point had an NFL roster, and so you just go play as Miami and they'd be so loaded that it was crazy. Or you go play as Ohio State or USC and, you'd have all these alumni guys. And that was like the mode. It just never seemed to I just always thought it was weird. I was like, why do you want to play with active college guys? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But if it makes that kind of money, fantastic. And I'm
They'll
all
figure it out.
getting paid. So if
Yeah.
another lawsuit comes, great. Let's see what else we got here. Most compelling storylines of last season, Strez. What did you have as some of your favorite storylines from last year?
Obviously, national champs, baby. That's always going to be my favorite storyline. No, I think Ashton Genty was an awesome storyline in my book. Maybe because he ends up in a Denver Bronco, like he stays in an orange and blue Broncos uniform going into the NFL this next season. Who knows? But no, I think what Boise State was able to do this last season, and specifically what Ashton Genty did was incredible. It was so much fun to watch. It's like every time you turn the TV on to any of the sports channels, it's like you're seeing an Ashton Genty highlight where he's breaking like 8 tackles and running 60 yards to the end zone. It was crazy.
I think this is definitely a draft year for running backs.
Big time.
For sure.
Right when
Big
we
time.
thought that was a dead position at the NFL level.
And then
Oh,
the Saquons won the Super Bowl. It was crazy.
Henry over to Baltimore. They
Yep.
put Saquon in Philadelphia, and they were like, wait a second here. Running back still might work.
I think it only works if your mascot's a bird, though. I don't know if
And a giant human being that runs really fast.
Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. There you go. There's another
Yeah.
example.
There you go. What do you favorite storyline, Steve, of last year?
I guess I'll probably go with Travis Hunter. Him winning the Heisman, and of course his story to get, his story getting, to where he's at, obviously in his career, and seemed to be a solid student, made good grades, was a great athlete on and off the field, it seems like. Got to learn a little bit more of his story, during the Heisman process leading up to that week. But, I think he's just a true generational talent to play on both sides of the ball. And it's going to be exciting to see where he goes. Hopefully, New England. We'll see. We could definitely use him on both sides of the ball. But, yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. I definitely think that he's got an advantage playing on defense. I mean, with those hands, there's not a lot of elite corners, honestly, when you think about it in the game right now. And a lot of times when you throw a deep ball, from what I've seen lately, either the quarterback's going to overshoot it or the pass is going to get broken up. But someone like him, he can catch that. So that's obviously such a big advantage to have on defense. But he's definitely going to go obviously in the first round, and he's going to be such a great asset to any team that he goes to, I think. And it'll be interesting to see what team he goes to. Not only that, but the schemes and that they make for him, and how do they utilize him, and if they utilize him on both sides of the ball, for sure.
I'm going to go with Cam Scattaboo out of Arizona State.
Oh man, that's a good one. Yeah,
I love everything about that kid. I love yelling at his play, yelling at the team at halftime,
throwing up.
Just the ultimate football guy. Just like the ultimate football guy.
Can I be honest with you guys?
What do you do?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I did not like Cam Scattaboo.
Oh, interesting.
I think he's an awesome football player. And I was recently on a show talking about Broncos potential running backs, right, in the 2025 draft, and they mentioned Cam Scattaboo. I'm like, we already had Peyton Hillis once, and I don't want Peyton Hillis light. I don't want great value Peyton Hillis. I just I don't know if it's gonna work. But he was fun to watch. But yeah, I was not. I might be the least high on Cam Scattaboo of all the running backs in this draft class.
We were talking about this on the group chat, and I had to let there's no other way to say it. I had to let the other whites know. Listen, I know we're having a moment right now. I get it. Like, yeah. I get that we think we're having a moment right now. Like Cooper DeJean,
Riley Moss.
We got we think we're white people. We think we're having a moment in athletics. Cam Scattaboo, though, again, college level, unbelievable, so much fun. But let's not start looking around the landscape of sports for other white guys that we think are going to go to the next level. He's not the next Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is that is a unicorn of a human being.
Yeah. That
will never happen again at that position.
Unless they come from the South or the Midwest and play on the line, it's a little different.
Yeah, listen, because I had a buddy that was he was giving me this whole white guys kind of having a renaissance moment, and I go, what do you mean exactly?
What a weird thing to say.
I go, because every NFL scout, when they're looking to go recruit offensive linemen, they're going up to Iowa, Ohio, Montana,
farm country.
Yeah, white guys we know where our positions are in the field, and I feel I'm secure in it. I'm okay with it. We got 2 white tight ends. Let's just be happy. We don't need a white guy at every position. And Cam, great guy, but it was kind of when Tebow was coming out. I understood a lot of why people were so high on Tim Tebow, and I thought it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Hey, he won a playoff game.
Maybe one important playoff game. I mean, he and Baker Mayfield both had maybe the most important playoff games of their careers, because it got a lot of people go, maybe they can still play, and they got to a little bit extra time in the NFL. And Baker,
and then we know Baker can.
Yeah. Well, we all saw the video of Tim Tebow running a split zone and trying to block at tight end, and was just dude, hang it up. Just go be an SEC guy. Just go talk about SEC football.
And it's still one of the wildest moves is Urban Meyer bringing Tim Tebow into spring practice to run tight end.
Only Urban Meyer too,
Yeah.
But I do like some other storylines I thought were good. Deion Sanders, obviously, I don't care what anyone says about anything that the man does. It has revolutionized the sport in a 2-year window.
And CU just looks like they're continuing to be the year before this last year was the worst that they'll be. And then now this last season was again the worst that they'll be because they're just going to continue to bring in dogs left and right. I mean, Warren Sapp is your D-line coach? If I'm a D-lineman, I'm going to want to go play for Warren Sapp 100%.
Yeah, and he won't even have to go to your house. He'll just one phone call from Warren Sapp and your parents. If you're not sure who he is, your mom and your dad and mom for sure know who that guy is, and that's where you're going to go play.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, other storyline: Florida State's fall from grace so quickly into the college football season. I think that was one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life.
How do we feel about preseason rankings? Where are we at on that now after that debacle?
That's a good point. I think there's going to be a lot of people, AP coaches, ESPN. I think there's going to be a lot. People are going to start looking at that a lot differently after this last year,
and even weekly rankings. With the playoff committee, I think that really caused some confusion. Towards the last end of the season. Should we go to Alabama or SMU or Indiana? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a preseason rankings guy, by the way. Just
me either. I mean,
yeah,
I kind of see, what the point of them what the point of them is of them, but at the same time, it's like, do we really know that they're the 4th best team in the country right now? Like, yeah, they've got a lot of 5 stars. Doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't at all because Florida State had a lot of 5 stars.
But you also have to beef up the SEC strength of schedule. We all know that that's what they're used for. They have a ranked win. Okay, their ranked win lost 7 games this season, and that ranked win came week 2.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
2 things that the SEC I complain about is the soft schedule and then the weird out of conference game they cream in November. I came from the Big 12 as an OU fan. All our non-conference games are the first 3 games of the year, and then we get them out of the way. We didn't have this weird bye week playing Montana State thing that happens in November. It's a weird thing to me. It's definitely a Nick Saban thing. It has to be. Because that sounds like a very Nick Saban thing where he's like, we have a gauntlet of a schedule. I want an out-of-conference game in November.
Yeah.
I mean,
Strez, what do you think about Ohio State's O-line potentially getting better next season, even though they're losing Josh Simmons?
It's kind of crazy. That was one of my favorite things about this season was, the guy that we brought in as a transfer was the center from Alabama. He went out week 8. He didn't even finish the season for us. And then we had guards get hurt, tackles get hurt. Our offensive line, by the time the national championship game happened, just makeshift. Guys were not they were playing in positions that they weren't recruited to play. And I mean, everybody saw what we did, Travion and Quinch. But at the same time, you've got Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, 2 bona fide NFL running backs back there. But it's exciting to see, what they're going to be able to do at O-line this year. But
and Julian saying, I can't wait to see him ball out. I think he's going to have a good season. I think they're going to take Texas week 1.
That kid can sling it. I think
it's a hot take. They're going to beat Texas week 1.
I'll sound like a homer here. I really do think the Buckeyes might run it back and just go back to back because we're getting better pretty much at every position except running back. Yeah. I think so. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
You got my boy Matt Patricia too, so.
I know. I was actually really stoked about that hire.
Speaking of the NFL to college jump, so we had a couple more NFL guys take head coaching jobs this year. Michael Vick, which is just wild to me.
It is wild.
And GM jobs. Andrew Luck's the GM for USC, I think, and Ron Rivera is the new GM for Cal.
It's just Stanford.
Stanford, sorry. Yeah.
I'm for this. I think it's time. I think the sport has gotten to a point where a lot of those guys, when they left the NFL, they weren't necessarily looking at college because it seems like it was so polarly opposite, different from NFL. Now, being a college football coach is still a much harder job than being an NFL coach by like a long shot. I mean, Bob Stoops has said it for years. I would never do the NFL. You know, the NFL is like taking a break compared to what I had to do as a college football coach. But I like this stuff, and I think it's good for college football. The more NFL guys that they can have come in, and there's a few guys out there that I would like to see, you know, get into coaching. That could be really. Greg Olson comes to mind. I'd love to see Greg Olson get into. You know, I think he's a perfect temperament, personality for college football. I think there's a few other guys that could potentially make the jump. I just like what you guys' opinion on like if you're a university and a guy like a Deion Sanders comes in that doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of head coaching experience for where college football is at and the level of fundraising you got to do and the level of NIL you got to do you take a chance on giving a foreign, you know, guy that maybe played for you or in the NFL for a long time? Do you give him a look over the like same 12 recycled guys that we, you know, that have run through college football in the SEC and Big Ten for, you know, I'm not talking bad about Brian Kelly, but you know, Brian Kelly.
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. It's an interesting question because, say a guy goes back and coaches maybe somewhere where he played, obviously that gives them a different incentive. It kind of means something to them. You definitely can't help to think about, you know, the state of the game where they're essentially kind of pro athletes at this point because of the NIL money. So, you know, it's interesting. I think this season's going to tell a lot, you know, especially with so much focus going to be on, you know, on guys like Bill Belichick at UNC. You know, how is that going to convert? And, you know, someone like Bill Belichick and even a Ron Rivera, you know, I know he's in a GM position, but these guys are used to dealing with paid athletes and that kind of that kind of stuff. So, you know, there is that. It is obviously slightly different because it's still on the collegiate level. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting, you know, for sure to see how that kind of translate because you know, I think I heard Bill Belichick say in a recent interview at UNC, or no, it wasn't Bill Belichick, it was their GM, Mr. Lombardi, that they're trying to make UNC like the 33rd team of the NFL, essentially. You know, trying to make them a program essentially to get players to that next level. Obviously, anybody could argue, well, isn't every you know school trying to essentially do that? But yeah, you know, it's going to be different for sure. So we'll see how that translates. But as of right now, you know, I have no problems with it. I'm pretty optimistic about it. So we'll see.
I mean, it's a fun thing to think about, and I think you know, Aaron, you said it. You had a great thought. You know, like the retreads, like that's how the NFL coaching cycle. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna hire this team's former coach because he lost 7 games in a season and they fired him. So we're gonna see if we can hire him and things will be different for us. It's like, what is that? Why are we doing that? You know, let's hire a fresh mind, right? Jason Kelsey as a head coach of the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Oh, are you kidding me?
That'd be awesome. I would go to watch so many of those games. You know, just I think it would be cool to see, you know, new faces and, you know, specifically like alumni of that school. I don't know. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? Like obviously they're not going to go coach their rival. Like I don't see that ever happening. You know, so but it would be cool to see, you know, alumni go, you know, where they cut their teeth, so to speak, right? Like the Mike Vrabel to Ohio State rumors that were going crazy when the fire Ryan Day train was humming down the highway. Like I was like, no, thanks. I don't want that. Like
You're firing Ryan Day to go hire Ryan Day? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what's the idea here? I think Mike Vrabel's he's an NFL guy. I just don't see him coaching, you know, college ball the way that Ohio State fans want their head coach to look. So it's just interesting, and I think it has to be like the right kind of guy, the right person, right? Like somebody that's gonna, like a Deion Sanders, right? Like there's just something about him that would make you want to go play for him, right? I don't know. Maybe Drew. I don't know. I feel like the Manning brothers could both do it.
The Watt brothers, maybe.
The Watt brothers could.
Jared Allen, that'd be an interesting one.
Jared Allen would be crazy. It'd be like Dan Campbell in college, I feel like.
Heck yeah.
That's what that
Come
would
to
look
Kentucky,
like.
Jared. Randall Cobb, he's been hanging out a lot this past season at UK, so doing some commentary work. I'd love to see him in a role there. Shout out to Deion Branch, who was wide receiver for the Patriots. He is he not an athletic director, but he does something for the Louisville Cardinals. And a couple of years ago, he was an interim coach for the Cards when they played in the Fenway Bowl and won. They won that game. I can't remember who they played, but it'd be cool to see him in some kind of maybe different capacity eventually one day. But it's good to see those guys, alumni, of course, go back and give back. But some of these other guys that we're mentioning, Jared Allen or TJ Watt or Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, any of those guys, like what would that be like? Where'd they go?
Travis ain't coaching anywhere. That man he's got it made when he decides to announce his retirement in 3 weeks.
Well, and
he's got it made.
He might date a student. Like, you got to be careful with Travis. Like,
he's dating the most famous woman in the world. What are you talking about?
He lost a Super Bowl. But, let's just,
That's true.
I will say.
Taylor Swift deserved that, by the way. She hasn't had to struggle as a football girlfriend once, and I was getting so tired of it. You don't get to date the guy that plays football, and then he just goes and wins a freaking Super Bowl right away.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. Dang,
that's not fair. That doesn't make sense.
Not fair.
Well, you got to put your time in. You're gonna have to nurse him along for the next month.
I want you to have to see him cry. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so she deserved that one. Honestly, no shade to her or the Swifties, because they made the NFL even more money this year again. But
it's adversity. It'll strengthen their love.
Yeah, she can write some new songs, Like,
exactly.
I don't know. Like, You Lost the Big Game or something like that. Could be a great song title. I don't know.
Well, I was thinking about, at Oklahoma, we've got DeMarco Murray coaching running backs. I could just tell you from knowing inside the program, it's really easy to recruit running backs when DeMarco Murray shows up at your high school. It's not hard. Like, outside of Adrian Peterson, of the last 20 years, one of the greatest running backs come through. Norman, great career with the Cowboys. And then went to the Eagles and got hurt. But, like, it just makes it easier. And I think if you're really doing what you're supposed to do as a coach and you're trying to turn these boys into men, having guys in the program who can actually connect with them and know what the next level's like, it's not the like, I love Nick Saban, but Nick Saban trying to talk to a 19-year-old kid who's going to make millions of dollars at the next level is a tough conversation to have when you need to make millions of dollars at the next level.
Especially with the Aflac duck sitting right next to him.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
His next job should be the czar of college football.
I'm here for this, by the way.
I honestly wanted Nick Saban and Bill Belichick to start a freaking podcast. But
oh, my God, could you imagine?
That was what I think they should have done. But
Did you see the one Did you see the one documentary thing that they put out? It was probably 2 or 3 years ago. As soon as it starts, he walks in Saban's office, and then Bill Belichick asked the camera guys to get out and give them a second so they could kind of catch up. And they left a camera in there just to kind of capture some audio. And then as soon as they walk out 5 seconds later, they start talking about football. So you still running 3-4 defense, Saban? Like, what do you guys got going on? I love it. They're just so eat up.
That's what I'm saying. Football. Like, 2 lifelong football brains not affected by CTE. Like, come on, give it to me.
That's why I was so like, dang, I didn't expect Matt Patricia to go to Ohio State. I figured he'd go to UNC because him and Bill has essentially been doing that classroom style podcast this previous season. So yeah, that would be cool. Saban and Belichick on a podcast. That needs to happen.
And special guest Lou Holtz could join him for some talk.
I love
Paul Feinbaum.
Oh God, I can't stand him. It's nothing about that man do I enjoy at all. There's nothing. I don't watch the SEC pregame because I can't stand him.
I probably watched the postgame after Ohio State just ended Texas's hopes and dreams. I watched that post game just so I could see Paul Feinbaum sit there and look like the most sad human being ever.
Like someone had killed this dog.
Like, yes, it was awesome. It was awesome.
He just looks that way, when he's talking on TV. It's like, man, do you even want to be here right now?
Like, yeah, life's not, Paul, if you're listening to this, life ain't that serious, bro.
And
just
Alabama
drink a beer and be happy.
Alabama,
come to one of our concerts, Paul. Let your hair down. Let your hair down. Have a good time.
This is not good. Before we do our snake draft, most overrated player of last year. You can say Cam Scadaboo. I mean, you already just he took stray bullets from you earlier.
No, I think he was properly rated. I think he was, accurately rated I think he was a great college football player. I think that sometimes that's one and done, He was the Chumbawamba of college football players.
Nothing wrong with being amazing at the college level.
Yeah, like we need great college football players, right? If that wasn't the case, then Ohio State quarterback room would just look like nothing, right? But I don't know. Man, most overrated player this year.
Mine's going to be a hot take. It's not going to be fun.
Let's hear it.
I think I may go Carson Beck. I'm just going to throw that in there.
It could be, yeah. And he's not.
The hype was so high
right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did he transfer for his girlfriend?
I mean, as soon as he transfers, that's the first thing I saw. They taking pictures and stuff together, and it's like,
I get it, bro.
I mean, I can't say I'm a married man, but I get it. Like, I get it.
Do you guys? I have this thought about Carson Beck. I need your guys' opinion. He looks like he bit other kids when he was in middle school, right? That's just like every time I see him without his helmet on, I'm just like, what?
There's something off about this guy.
What's going on here, man? Like the sleeve tattoo helped. Like it helped his image a little bit, but I'm just still like, brother, what's going on here?
And I feel bad for him a little bit because as a white quarterback, if you add tattoos, then you get kind of labeled. But the problem is he's not doing himself any favors by through the year, you kind of just got closer. You're like, man, this is a lot about you. Like, this is a lot about you.
It was like the opposite of Georgia football.
Yes.
It was so weird the entire season.
Yeah, SEC fan bases at schools like that, they want their quarterback to be a little boring.
Yeah.
Not a lot of personality.
Yeah.
And you can have personality after you leave. Like A.J. McCarron, great personality after he left. Fun to talk to, hilarious on TikTok, great guy. But at Alabama, Nick wanted, like, I don't want you to say nothing. No, just play football. And that's fine.
Or like a Will Howard type guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go in.
He didn't do himself any favors with.
Do a great job. Yeah. No, you're right. Carson Beck's a great take.
I think Shedeur Sanders is the most overrated player last year in football.
I almost said him.
That is a hot take.
And I don't think it's his fault.
It's his offensive line's fault. Oh, my God.
He was doing literally everything humanly possible to try to win football games. And the media wanted him to be the second coming so badly that it just wore out college football fans. That, Colorado's already going to be playing in primetime games because of, Coach Prime. You got Travis Hunter, and he was just in a no-win situation. And then when you got the worst thing the sports media can do is start trying to make excuses for you, because it just makes every other college football fan base point finger. It's the Patrick Mahomes syndrome.
I mean, what kind of does it for me to prove your point is hearing comments, not from anybody specifically, but kind of a collective of unanimous NFL scouts since the postseason's been going on. And it seems like, from what I've gathered, he's not kind of high on their list as far as like potential teams maybe taking him higher in the first round of the draft. So I don't know,
The worst thing he lines up coming out of college right now is the next Lamar Jackson. because no quarterback takes more heat in the media at the NFL level than Lamar Jackson. Like, that guy can't do enough.
He literally had a one-of-a-kind quarterback football season this last year.
Yeah.
And he's still catching strays from everyone. It is crazy.
But we both know. I mean, listen, we all know.
We know why.
I'm not a moron.
Yeah.
I was in Oklahoma when Baker left and Kyler came in. I heard some of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard in my entire life. Baker just got this thing about him.
There's something about,
I'm like, well, what is it?
He sells tickets.
It's he got this thing. You know, he's got balls. He's just, you know, I'm like, really? That's nothing else? Nothing else that might separate him at all? I don't know. It's just correct. Call me crazy. Kyler, maybe the greatest athlete to come out of the state of Texas and play football, but something different. So, yeah, Shador, I hope it's a Spencer Rattler situation where a team takes him and he sits a little bit and can come in late in the season and people start to see like, hey, wait a second, this guy can play. But he's going to have to prove a lot. I hate when an athlete like that has to come in and prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah. How long did Spencer stay at Oklahoma? I can't remember.
2 years.
Yeah, it was
That's
2.
what it was.
And then Caleb Williams took his job.
Yeah. I watched that show that came out on Netflix.
QB1.
Right?
Dude.
Is that what it was?
Great
the high
TV
school
show.
Quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah. His last senior year in high school and all that stuff. He's an Arizona kid, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where he's from, Arizona. Yeah.
Didn't play most of his senior year because he got caught smoking pot.
Yep.
So when he got to Oklahoma,
they kept that hush too in that documentary.
Oh yeah, they don't want to like when he came to Oklahoma and then he started having problems or whatever. People are like, I didn't see any of this coming. I was like, nothing. You didn't see any of this coming at all.
Did you watch?
Yeah.
Do you have a Netflix account?
I don't know. Nothing. No red flags at all. Okay.
Him transferring, I think, did a lot of good for him. Like just personally, I think he really grew up through that whole process. I truly think that Spencer Rattler is probably going to have a relatively successful NFL career. I think he might be the guy moving forward. In New Orleans if they decide to go with him. Kellen Moore just took that job, didn't he?
Yeah, I like Kellen Moore at New Orleans.
Kellen Moore with Spencer Rattler's athleticism and arm talent, I think, could be really fun to watch. But it'll just depend on what they do there if they decide to keep Derek Carr for another year and another injury. But yeah, I don't know.
Talk about retreads.
Derek Carr's got all of the retreads.
Golly, there's no guy benefited from his last name more than that guy in the NFL.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. He's like the lesser version of the Carr quarterback.
So where's Jim Gruden going to coach at next year?
And I think he likes Barstool too much.
I think he's having a really good time.
I kind of wondered if he'd at least maybe take some kind of position on offense or, some kind of offense, OC, coaching quarterbacks, something. But you're right. He's done a pretty good job. He's been entertaining for sure to watch him this previous season on Barstool. But, of course, there's a lot of speculation about that, too, if somebody will pick him up.
I mean, Portnoy was pretty open about he didn't think he'd have him for longer than a couple of years. He just didn't. He thought that he's just going to he'll be outpriced. Somebody else will come along, and I won't be able to keep him. But he's entertaining, and he's a football guy.
Yeah. That's another guy that should have been on that podcast with Belichick and Saban.
Because
I guarantee you no one annoys Bill Belichick more than John Gruden.
Oh, guaranteed. They're like polar opposites.
Oh, I think he highly dislikes him and, of course, Brady because of the Tuck rule thing. I've heard him say that recently, actually.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, can I rant for a second?
Yeah.
The fact that we survived the Belichick-Brady dynasty and walked face first into a Mahomes-Andy Reid version of it just makes me want to vomit. As an AFC person, I just cannot. Oh, my God, I can't handle it. It's the worst.
Well, and I
wasn't
feel
really
bad
a rant, but
for teams like Detroit that I want so badly to be good, even as a Bears fan, like there are fan bases that I think it's from being a Cubs fan, you kind of connect with the fan bases that just have been
long
through
suffering.
Yeah, Buffalo, Detroit. Yeah. I'm like, and then we just keep getting the same teams that have been good for the last 5 years or whatever. And I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. But then I think back to the Brady years, and I'm like,
That was
it
2
was
decades of torture.
yeah.
Domination.
Steve's just down there smiling. He's like, and Drake May is just getting started.
Just getting started.
Bo
hope
Nix,
so.
Bo
hope
Nix will
so,
save
bro.
us.
The
Save
only-
me, Bo Nix. Bo Nix,
He's
if you
fun
can
to
hear me,
watch.
please save me, Bo Nix.
He's kind of who I wanted. And then I was like, well, I really do like Drake May. I was torn between the two. I really did like Bo Nix as well. He's a stud. And JJ McCarthy, if he can stay healthy this next season. But yeah. Bo Nix is going to ball out. He's working well there with Sean Payton.
There's my answer. Most overrated player this year. Bo Nix's predecessor, Dylan Gabriel. What a disappointment of a season, in my opinion.
Could have told you this coming into it.
I agree. I don't know. I don't know if it's because he's a lefty or what, but it just did not. It was so much hype around the kid, and I was like,
yeah.
There's a reason he's been in college football for 5 years.
Will Howard put up the same exact numbers. Got none of the hype.
Yeah,
all of the rings though. What's up? It's just like it's just crazy. That's my take for the most overrated player of the year this year, Dylan Gabriel.
And Dylan had a hard job at Oklahoma. He had to follow Jalen. He had a tough job here or follow Caleb Williams, I should say. So you have a tough job, but when we had him, I was like, he does everything right, but the things that he does wrong cost you ball games. And that's tough. Like some of that you can't coach out of them. It's just that's who they are, and that's the way it's going to be, and you're going to deal with it and win in spite of it. But I do think Dan has got something going at Oregon. I love everything that program does. Yeah, I really like him.
William Jewell College alum, baby. Let's go, Birds.
And he seems like a good dude. So that goes a long way with parents when you're sitting in homes.
Yeah,
and he comes from a small school, and I like coaches that come from small schools. I think they got a chip on their shoulder. I think they'll work a little bit harder. I think it's what Mike McDaniel in Miami. I think it works when you bring the right guy in from a small school that didn't have a bunch of success at on the football field. They come in. They're usually the harder workers for one thing because they had to be because they didn't have the athletic ability to make it real far. And I think it goes a long way with the right program, and a program that's got Phil Knight money seems to be the right fit.
No, that's so true. Yeah, I've got a soft spot for Dan Lanning just because we share the same college. We played football at the same school in college. He's from the same city, or I guess he ended up growing up in the same town that my wife's from. So it's like he's like a hometown hero here in Kansas City. So he was actually roommates with the guy who recruited me to play college football, which is like a really weird thing. So I'm like, I have a connection. Really roundabout connection to Bo Nix. Don't know if I'll ever be able to have a conversation with the man, but I did play football at the same college his college head coach played at.
You got to come up with
20 years ago.
You got to come up with a really short, succinct way to explain it so that if you ever catch Bo Nix,
you're telling me there's a chance.
Oh, I've got it. It's all up here. We're both born in the state of Arkansas, both born in the month of February, both somehow are closely related to Dan Lanning. Via football, yeah, it's there. It's all there.
And it'll either work for you, or he'll think you're creepy.
He's like, wow,
the shot.
I need a restraining order. This guy is a psychopath.
Either way, he'll remember you. Now, you may not get close to him. If you go to another game, he may point up and be like, all right,
get that guy out of here.
just FaceTime us. Me and Aaron will vouch for you.
There we go.
He's a good dude, we promise.
He's not creepy. I know it's coming off that way, but it's not real. All right. Last thing we're going to do, snake draft, 3 rounds, best college football traditions, snake draft style. I'll take whatever's left. So pick a number between 1 and 3, Strez, for your draft order. All right.
Oh, I thought we were just picking a.
No, I got to pick. I'll give you guys your picks, and then I'll take whatever number's left. But pick a number between 1 and 3.
Oh, I thought I said 1.
Oh, 1. All right. It's 2. So, Steve, you want to go? You can pick whatever order you want.
I'm confused.
I'll go 3 then. I'll pick 3.
So you mean you'll get 2 because we're doing snake draft style. You'll get last pick of the first round, first pick of the next round. Strez, you want 1 or 2?
I'll take 2.
All right, so I'll pick 1. Best college football traditions. I'm trying not to be a homer with this because it's not going to help me at all.
The weekly rec.
Yeah. And I don't. If Oklahoma fans are watching this, they're not going to like my first pick. But the Notre Dame Fighting Irish play like a champion today sign. Although Oklahoma thinks that they started it, it's always been this argument because they have almost the exact same sign right outside their locker room as well. I think it's safe to say Notre Dame started it, and it's my favorite. I will watch the beginning of Notre Dame games just for watching the players do the play like a champion today. Does it have something to do with the movie Rudy, which is completely fictitious? Apparently, Joe Montana likes to make sure everyone knows that none of that really happened, but it does play into it. So the play like a champion today is my number 1 pick. All right, who's got 2?
I think I'm up.
All right, what do you got? Just go ahead and take it. I mean, it's fine.
I'm not. I know you guys think I'm gonna take it, but I'm actually not gonna take it.
Okay.
You're not going to dot it?
I want
You're
to
not
so
gonna dot
bad.
it?
I want to so bad because one of my favorite parts is when like the senior tuba player like tells the cameraman, "Look out!" and just flings down and like nails the camera with his tuba every time. That's not what I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take the entire walkout for Virginia Tech. Enter Sandman.
Oh, man, yeah.
They have to get in a bus, drive around the stadium, get off the bus, walk up, walk out. It's awesome.
Kind of like Clemson. I think they have to do that too.
Yeah.
Right? Get in the bus, go around the stadium.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what you got?
Man, there's so many good ones. I think to start it off with, I'm going to go with Florida State planting the spear. That's always very cool to see. Electrifying, the spears on fire, put it in the 50-yard line, baby.
Don't they work with like the Seminole tribe too?
The
for that?
Seminole Nation handles the whole thing.
That's just so cool.
It's the best.
Yeah. Super cool. It's a tradition. So that would be the third and my pick of that round, right? So I guess the first pick to kick off the next round, I'm going to go with the Kinnick Wave, the Hawkeyes Stadium. I know that's a recent one, and that one's just so cool and so special, and it kind of hits home to me a little bit. One of my youngest nephew kind of went through some things, and shout out to Cincinnati Children's Hospital. So that warms my heart. That's always a good one. So I like the Kinnick Wave.
Yeah. How recent did that start? I feel like it wasn't that long ago.
Like 5 years, I want to say ago-ish.
Wow.
Maybe, right?
That
5 or
hospital's not
6.
that old. I know that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really new. It's amazing that it's like already a staple of college football. You know,
Yeah.
like that's amazing that it's
And it
only
almost
taken-
it kind of chokes me up every time too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
man. It's very wholesome.
I rarely ever see it though, because for some reason Ohio State's always got the noon games, and Iowa's playing at the same time, so I never get a chance to like see it live. I have to always watch the highlights and stuff. But that's a good pick.
All right, you're up.
All right,
You can
give me
take
the
number
script.
2 now.
Give me the script, Ohio. Dotting the I. I think it's awesome. It's always cool. I think one of the coolest parts about that too was this year during the first round against Tennessee, when they had our the seniors that were a part of the best damn band in the land. They were like in tears marching out of the tunnel to do their last script Ohio in Ohio Stadium because they had thought that had happened a month earlier. Well, joke's on you. You got to do it again in the playoffs, and it was just really cool. That's my second round pick.
I'm not going to take my homer pick at 2. If it's left at 3, I may take it, but I'm going to take Wisconsin Badgers jump around. For a team that has they have football tradition that doesn't matter. They're always like They're kind of similar to Arkansas, where they're like going to have some good years. They play tough. The great offensive line play. The trenches are always like their thing, but the jump around is just it's great. And I don't know how the stadium has never had problems,
especially in Wisconsin. It's a lot of cheese been eaten at that stadium.
Began in 1998. Feels like that's not that long ago, but it is like
I guess
27 years ago.
Yeah, when did that song come out?
Oh, probably 96.
Yeah, I was gonna say that makes
90s.
sense.
But I do like that one. All right, who's got 2?
You're up now.
Oh, I am up. I'm gonna go ahead and take it, even though not last season, but the season before, it did have a moment in sports media that wasn't a shining moment. I am gonna take the Sooner Schooner. We did have our first spill on the field 2 years ago for the first time since like the 70s, so that was a rough moment for the Sooner Schooner. It is a wild thing to see in person. If you can separate yourself from it as a fan, it almost seems like it shouldn't be allowed. Like wagon with horses running out on a grass football field because it's not turf. It does kind of seem a little wild, but it's there's only one of them in the country, and we don't really have a mascot necessarily. It
was a person that left for the Homestead too early, isn't it? Isn't that what the
entire mascot's based on a cheater. That's one thing that like OU fans don't like, want to, but if you try to tell you what's a Schooner, and then you're like, well, so we were going to push a bunch of Native Americans off land, which is bad enough, and then some guys went early. So, but the Schooner running out on the field after a touchdown, in the Lincoln Riley years, with the amount of points we were putting up, it got to be a little monotonous at times when you're scoring like 60. But it is a lot of fun. So I do like it. I enjoy it.
All right. I have two directions I want to go here. And I think I'm going to go. The thing that always turns my head while I'm driving is like some sort of large bird of prey flying or like just sitting on a road sign. I'm going to take what Auburn does with the War Eagle. I think that is one of the coolest things ever. Freaking just a death bird flying from the top of the stadium that could gouge your eyes out, but it chooses not to because of the peace and love advocacy that is the sport of college football. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm going to take that one.
Another tradition that has absolutely nothing to do with their mascot.
Yeah, I never really understood, like, I have family that is from Alabama, and it is true. If you walk through any sort of store and you say Roll Tide or War Eagle, like, you'll get one of two looks. But I just never understood the War Eagle thing. I don't get it.
I mean, I guess LSU had the Tigers thing on lockdown. They were like, we got some up our sleeve.
Yeah, but then LSU, you got two Death Valleys. It's just like it gets weird. I can't keep up sometimes.
All right, Steve, what's your last pick?
Last pick. I only get one more, right? Man, that's a tough one. I tell you what. I'll throw this one in as a bonus, but I'm not going to pick it. It feels kind of sacrilegious not to say the Governor's Cup between UK and Louisville at the end of the season. But the Tennessee Volunteers intro, the Rocky Top, that's pretty electrifying. That is a good one. And I think is that a newer one, right? One they started doing in recent years, I think. But the whole light show, just everything. It's pretty electrifying. It gets you pumped for sure.
It does.
Real quick, and these, I'll take the heat for these, but these are some college football traditions I think need to go away. I need Penn State to quit acting like they're the only school that does a whiteout, and no one cares, by the way, just in case anyone wonders. If you're asking, I
love the whiteout.
But every school does it.
They always do it for the Ohio State game, it feels like, and they never win.
We have an air horn. an air horn rate, that's like all we pretty much have in a Wildcat sound.
Yeah.
That's like it. I would take a white out at this point.
The two football traditions I think should go away is Texas A&M's 12th man, because I think that's a cult.
Dude, it's so weird. I feel like we could do a whole show just deep diving into how weird that stuff is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird. The guys are in milkman uniforms.
They can't wear the pointy hoods anymore, I think, is the issue.
It's a really weird thing, and people, they've never won anything. They claim one national championship when they did their stadium renovation that no one gave them. They pulled one out of like the 30s or whatever, and we're like, oh, we won one. But it's just a weird tradition. But the number one thing that I can't understand how is still allowed is the Mississippi State cowbells. Because no other SEC fan base, the band is not allowed to play when the opponent is on offense. But at Mississippi State, they can ring them dang cowbells for the entirety of the game. And it's somehow not considered like unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
But it is the dumbest tradition.
I can't say too much because my mom was the cowbell lady during high school football games for me. So she was the cowbell ringer at my high school football games.
I think in high school they're fun. Like I think they're cool. They're kind of, especially if you're a smaller school, or a school where the school shuts, the whole town shuts down type of thing. But at Mississippi State, I mean, it's
like we don't plant flags around here, buddy. No, just cowbells. Cowbells only.
Some things that didn't get taken that probably would have made the list.
Can I give my honorable mention?
Yeah.
What's his name? Is it Bernie?
Yeah.
The Buffalo at CU. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Just see a friggin' buffalo running around. That's awesome.
It's wild looking.
And the guys that run with him are so fast. How fast you have to be able to move to keep up with a four-legged beast? That's amazing.
They move, by the way. And I'm from Oklahoma. We're one of the two states that still got those things that run wild here. And they move.
They are fast.
Honorable mentions, USC's sword stab at the 50. They're really into that thing. I don't think any other school cares that much about it, but they really like it. I think Clemson's Howard's Rock was cool until Dabo turned it into Dabo's run out onto the field. And it's a little more of a me moment now.
I'm waiting for him to pull a hamstring just mid-entrance.
Just running down that.
Just face plants and it rolls down the whole hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some honorable mentions.
Didn't Howard's Rock get chipped away like a vandal? Wasn't it vandalized 10 years ago or something?
It's the second most crazy fan moment in college football was that. Number one is
poisoning the trees.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
So
wow, dude, that phone call. Oh my God, that's one of the most historic moments in college football, in my opinion. He just ends the call. He's like, "I poisoned the trees, war damn eagle," and just I'm like, what is going on, dude?
I vandalized a tree.
Just let your players fight after the game and get pepper sprayed. Do it how you're supposed to do a rivalry game. What are we doing here?
Yeah, come on. College football traditions that need to stop also is the plant the flag thing. We can quit now. It's okay. It's been overdone.
Baker Mayfield started it, and I'll never forgive him.
You guys sang on our field, and he took it personally.
I'll never forgive him.
Well, TJ Watt took, or was it? TJ Watt took care of it when they played the 49ers the Steelers that first year. He took care of that. He sacked him 3 times, and one of them he WWE'd him into the pavement. I was like, okay, yeah.
I think Nick Bosa do his own flag planting thing after his sack on
when they played San Francisco.
Yeah.
That was good.
That's all I gotta say about Nick Bosa today.
Yeah, we can quit playing flags, people. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not every fan base. Some fan bases are too sensitive about it. They're not made for the plant the flag thing.
I get it though, and at the same time, I'm taking it from a player's perspective. If you don't want to plant the flag, don't lose. Don't let them win the game. That's kind of where I was at the end of the Ohio State game. Like, I was screaming at the top of my lungs driving home from the Ohio State bar here in Kansas City for 25 minutes. You know, I think I lost my voice that day. And I get home, everybody's texting me like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I walked out when there's 2 minutes left in the game. I was not watching the ending of that. And my mom's like, there are cops pepper spraying players, because my dad's a Michigan fan. I was like, what is happening? And I got on Twitter and I was like, that is the craziest thing I've
Ryan
ever
Day's
seen.
best moment too, because he's kind of just standing over the side, and I'm like, Coach, you're not helping yourself.
He was plotting how he was going to win the first 12-team playoff, and he brought it to fruition. All right,
He's going to use all that as fuel.
Exactly.
Lakeland fuel.
Jack Sawyer turned into a monster in that very
He
moment.
did.
I'm going to give it to him.
He made a decision that if he was going to win, he was going to win national championship, because he's not going to go his entire college career being the guy that couldn't beat Michigan. Now
no gold pants, but he got a trophy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I say that as from, you know, we have OU Texas, and we take it pretty seriously, but I would rather win national championship. But there's a huge chunk of Sooner fan base that would be like, no, I'd rather just beat Texas every year. I'm like, y'all are morons.
Yeah, it's the same here.
So
I'd prefer both. But
next week on the show, we'll probably do another draft. I think we're going to break down a few things in regards to the coaching ranks, perhaps. And then I want to talk teams that might have the biggest improvement next season. So that could be that'll be fun, because now that college football is the way it is, we don't even know who's all going to be on rosters.
Yeah, how are we going to even know? It's like doing a mock draft before free agency is even over. Like, why waste your time?
Yeah, it'll be fun. And no one picked Florida State. I just don't think it's probably a good juju for them. So
they're going to be the number 3 preseason ranked team going into the 2025
wouldn't
college
surprise
football
me.
season.
Instead of the Madden like cover curse, it'll be the Florida State preseason curse from now on. So
wherever they're ranked is how many weeks how many games they'll lose in the first month of football.
So bad.
That's what it'll be.
All right.